Welcome to HFY Chronicles, where humanity's spirit conquers the cosmos. Subscribe now and join the adventure. Admiral Tav peered through the observation deck's massive viewport at the blue-green world rotating slowly below. Earth, the forbidden planet. His scaled hands clasped behind his back as he addressed the young officer beside him. Lieutenant, Dal, do you know why we maintain this station at the edge of the Sol system? To enforce the Treaty of Proxima, sir, Dal replied promptly. To ensure no species makes contact with humans, Tav nodded. For 300 cycles, the Galactic Accord has abided by one absolute law. Earth remains quarantined. No exceptions. The Admiral turned from the viewport, his gray eyes reflecting the starlight. Tomorrow, representatives from 17 species arrive for the Centennial Treaty Review. Some question whether the quarantine remains necessary. Dal looked alarmed. But the horror stories are just that to many. Stories, Tav replied. Few living beings remember the true reason for the treaty. The younger generations see only a promising, resource-rich world with billions of potential trading partners. The station's alert system chimed softly. Ambassador delegation approaching, sir. Begin preparation protocols, Tav ordered. As Dal hurried away, the Admiral returned his gaze to Earth, memories of ancient records playing in his mind. Recordings of screaming ships, desperate transmissions, and the terrible silence that followed first contact. In his quarters that evening, Tav reviewed historical documents on his datapad. The official treaty stated only that contact with the species designated as human presents unacceptable risk to galactic stability. The actual details were classified at the highest level. Only those with Tav's clearance knew the truth. Humans weren't quarantined to protect them. The quarantine protected everyone else. The next morning, Tav entered the grand meeting chamber as representatives from across the galaxy took their seats. The Multarians with their crystalline bodies, the gaseous Ventari in their containment suits, the insectoid krill, all gathered to debate a treaty most didn't fully understand. Ambassador Wren of the Arcadian Federation spoke first. The Treaty of Proxima has stood for 3 centuries, but many of us question whether isolation remains in anyone's best interest, including the humans themselves. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Humans have advanced significantly, continued Wren. They've established colonies on their neighboring planets. Soon they'll develop faster than light travel. Contact becomes inevitable. Wouldn't controlled introduction be preferable? Tav stepped forward. Ambassador Wren raises valid points. However, the treaty exists for reasons beyond preventing cultural contamination. Then illuminate us, Admiral, said Lore, the Ventari representative, vapor swirling irritably within his containment suit. The classified sections of the treaty have fueled speculation for generations. If we're to maintain this quarantine, we deserve to know why. Tav hesitated. Few living beings had seen the complete records of first contact with humans. The evidence was deemed too disturbing for general knowledge. The Council has authorized a limited disclosure, Tav said finally. Tomorrow, you will view selected records from the Proxima incident that precipitated the treaty. As the meeting adjourned, Lieutenant Dal approached the Admiral. Sir, we've detected an anomaly near the Jupiter monitoring station. Something's breached the quarantine zone. Tav's blood ran cold. Identify. Unknown, sir. But it's heading directly toward Earth. Deploy interceptors immediately, Tav ordered. Nothing makes contact with that planet. As Dal rushed to carry out the order, Ambassador Wren approached. Is there a problem, Admiral? Potentially, Tav replied. Someone, or something, has entered the quarantine zone. Wren's eyes widened. After all these centuries, who would dare? That's what worries me, said Tav grimly. The treaty has held firm for 300 cycles. Why would someone breach it now, on the eve of the review? Across the station, alarms began to sound. Red emergency lights bathed the command center as Tav burst through the doors. Status report. Interceptors deployed, sir. But the vessel is moving at unprecedented speed, reported the tactical officer. It will reach Earth before we can intercept. Identity? Tav demanded. Unknown configuration. Not matching any registry in our database. Ambassador Wren had followed Tav into the command center, along with several other delegates. Could it be human? She asked. Perhaps they've advanced faster than our intelligence suggested. Impossible, Tav replied. Their propulsion technology remains chemical-based. This vessel is using some form of gravitic manipulation we've never encountered. On the main view screen, a sleek obsidian craft sliced through space toward the blue planet. It didn't respond to hails or warnings. Admiral, Dal said quietly, there's something else. We've detected energy signatures consistent with weapons systems powering up. A chill settled over the room. Weapons directed at Earth would violate not just the quarantine but the non-aggression principles of the Galactic Accord. Lock defensive systems, Tav ordered. Prepare to fire warning shots across their trajectory. Sir, said Dal, that would violate our own treaty provisions. We're only authorized to observe, not to engage militarily within the Sol system. Tav's jaw tightened. I'm aware of the regulations, Lieutenant, but if that vessel attacks Earth, then what? Asked Lore. The Ventari ambassador. The treaty exists to prevent contact. It says nothing about protection. Because no one ever imagined someone would want to attack them, Tav replied. The mysterious vessel suddenly accelerated, its hull glowing with exotic energy. Before the interceptors could respond, it vanished into Earth's atmosphere. We've lost tracking, reported the sensor officer. Admiral, Ambassador Wren said urgently, I believe the review committee should see those classified records now, not tomorrow. Tav nodded grimly. Agreed. Follow me. The secure archives lay deep within the station, behind multiple security barriers. As the 17 ambassadors gathered in the dimly lit viewing chamber, Tav activated the ancient holographic system. What you are about to see has been classified under the highest security protocols for 3 centuries, he explained. These are the unedited logs from the only authorized first contact mission with humans, conducted by the scientific vessel Proxima. The hologram flickered to life, showing the interior of a sleek exploration craft. A diverse crew of different species moved about their duties. The timestamp indicated a date 300 years earlier. This is Captain Mev of the Proxima, said a tall blue-skinned being at the center of the recording. We are approaching the 3rd planet of Star System Sol 3, inhabited by pre-FTL beings self-designated as humans. Our mission is cultural and scientific evaluation for potential inclusion in the Galactic Accord. The recording continued, showing the Proxima establishing orbit around Earth. First contact protocols were meticulously followed. Observation, language analysis, careful selection of contact locations to minimize cultural disruption. We've identified an isolated scientific outpost for initial contact, reported the Proxima's cultural specialist. The humans there will be best equipped to comprehend our existence without widespread panic. The landing sequence proceeded smoothly. Earth's Antarctic Research Station grew larger in the viewports. Then the recording abruptly cut to chaos. Alarms blared throughout the Proxima. The captain shouted for emergency protocols. Something's wrong with the crew, a panicked voice reported. They're changing. The final transmission showed a crew member convulsing, their body distorting horrifically before the feed cut to static. Silence fell over the viewing chamber. The ambassadors stared in shock. That can't be everything, Lore finally said. There's more, Tav replied grimly. But first you need context. What you just witnessed, Tav continued, activating a secondary data stream, was merely the beginning. The Proxima mission was our most catastrophic first contact failure. The hologram displayed medical data and biological scans. The Proxima's crew contracted something upon meeting the humans, not a conventional pathogen, something far more insidious. Ambassador Wren leaned forward. Are you suggesting humans are carriers of some disease? Not exactly, Tav replied. Humans themselves aren't the vector. It's something they created. Or rather, something they became. The hologram shifted to display comparative DNA structures. Humans began as organic beings similar to many spacefaring species. But roughly 5,000 years ago, something changed in their evolutionary path. The display showed human DNA alongside strange geometric patterns that pulsed with energy. They underwent what our scientists now call conceptual evolution. Their consciousness began affecting their physical reality. Human beliefs, fears, hopes. These abstract concepts started manifesting in their biology. That's impossible. objected the Krill ambassador, mandibles clicking nervously. We thought so too, said Tav. But the evidence is irrefutable. The human mind evolved to unconsciously manipulate quantum probability fields. They collectively shape their reality without realizing it. Lieutenant Dal entered the chamber quietly, handing Tav a datapad. The Admiral reviewed it grimly before addressing the group again. We've lost contact with all monitoring stations in the Sol system. Whatever entered Earth's atmosphere is disrupting our surveillance network. Murmurs of concern spread through the room. Admiral, Wren said, you still haven't explained what happened to the Proxima crew. Tav nodded. The Proxima team physically met humans who believed in shape-shifting monsters from their folklore. Within hours, the crew began transforming into those very creatures, their molecular structure rewritten by proximity to human conceptual fields. Horrified understanding dawned on the ambassadors' faces. Human beliefs are contagious, Dal added. Their subconscious expectations reshape other sentient beings to conform to their cultural narratives. Precisely, said Tav. If humans believe visitors from space should have certain appearances or abilities, those who contact them will begin manifesting those traits. Their myths become our reality. But surely, objected Lore, with proper preparation. It's not that simple, Tav interrupted. Human beliefs are wildly contradictory. Some expect peaceful visitors, others hostile invaders. Some envision us as godlike beings, others as monsters. The conceptual bombardment causes molecular instability in most species. The holographic display showed footage of rescue attempts, ships that responded to the Proxima's distress call, only to suffer the same fate once they entered Earth's conceptual field. 17 ships were lost before the quarantine was established, Tav continued. The survivors reported experiencing the humans' collective nightmares as physical transformations. Those who escaped did so permanently changed. And the humans? Asked Ambassador Wren. Are they aware of this ability? Completely unaware, Tav replied. They evolved in isolation, never encountering another sentient species. They don't know. Their beliefs reshape reality. That's what makes them so dangerous, and so valuable. A new alert sounded on Tav's communication device. The unidentified craft has landed in a population center on Earth's northern continent. We're receiving fragmentary visual data. The hologram shifted to show grainy footage of panic in human streets. A dark, crystalline structure had emerged in what appeared to be a city center. Humans fled in terror as shadowy figures moved among them. Whoever breached the quarantine, Tav said grimly. They know exactly what they're doing. The command center erupted with activity as Tav strode through the doors, the 17 ambassadors following close behind. Full tactical display, he ordered. The main view screen shifted to show Earth, with a pulsing red indicator marking the incursion site. North American continent, metropolitan area designated Chicago, reported Lieutenant Dal. Population approximately 10 million humans. Ambassador Lore drifted closer to the display, his containment suit humming softly. Those energy readings, they're amplifying. Correct, Tav confirmed. The unknown vessel is generating a field that's interacting with the human conceptual emissions. It's like nothing we've seen before. On auxiliary screens, fragmented surveillance footage showed chaos in Chicago's streets. The black crystalline structure had expanded, tendrils of dark material spreading along buildings and roads. Humans, who came in contact with it, underwent rapid transformations, some hardening into crystalline statues, others morphing into grotesque forms that joined the shadowy figures. It's weaponizing their fears, Wren whispered in horror. Using their own conceptual energy against them. Worse, Tav said. It's harvesting. Look at these energy signatures. The tactical display showed massive energy streams flowing from the affected humans toward the central structure. Whatever the intruders were, they had found a way to extract and contain the humans' reality-altering potential. We need to intervene, declared the Multarian ambassador, his crystalline form flashing with distress patterns. Treaty or not, this is genocide. Intervention means exposure, Tav countered. Any ship we send would be affected by both the human, conceptual field and whatever technology these intruders are using. Then we do nothing, demanded Ren. Watch as an entire species is harvested? Tav's expression was grim. I didn't say that. He turned to his communications officer. Contact Central Command. Invoke Emergency Protocol Omega. Authorization. Tav Alpha 70. The room fell silent. Protocol Omega authorized the most extreme measures in defense of galactic security. Sir, Dal said hesitantly. Protocol Omega would mean, I know exactly what it means, Lieutenant, Tav interrupted. Now carry out the order. As Dal moved to comply, Tav addressed the stunned ambassadors. 300 years ago, after the Proxima incident, our predecessors faced an impossible choice. Destroy humanity to protect the galaxy, or find another solution. They chose quarantine, said Ren. Yes. But they also prepared for the possibility of failure. Tav gestured to a secure console. Protocol Omega activates defensive measures placed in the Sol system as a last resort. What kind of defensive measures? Asked Lore suspiciously. Before Tav could answer, the tactical officer called out, Sir, we're detecting new energy signatures from Earth's moon. On the display, points of light emerged from the dark side of the lunar surface. Massive installations, dormant for centuries, now powering up. When the treaty was established, Tav explained, we left behind guardians, artificial intelligences, immune to human conceptual fields. They were programmed to remain dormant unless the quarantine was breached with hostile intent. You hid weapons around Earth? Ren was aghast. Not weapons, Tav corrected. Protectors. Advanced systems designed to neutralize threats without harming humans. They're calibrated to the exact frequency that disrupts conceptual energy manipulation. The lunar installations fired, sending beams of blue-white energy toward Earth. The beams converged on Chicago, enveloping the crystalline structure in pulsing light. It's working, Dal reported. The intruder's energy harvesting is disrupting. On the surveillance feeds, the shadowy figures writhed in apparent pain. The crystalline growths began to recede. Then, abruptly, the feeds cut out. We've lost visual, reported the tactical officer. Energy readings are… Sir, they're off the charts! A blinding flash engulfed Chicago on the tactical display. When it faded, an enormous crater remained where the city had stood. Horror descended on the command center. What have you done? Whispered Ren. Silence gripped the command center as the tactical display showed the smoking crater that had been Chicago. 10 million lives extinguished in an instant. This is impossible, Tav whispered. The Guardian systems were designed with absolute precision. They should have neutralized the threat without harming humans. Ambassador Ren turned on him, her face contorted with fury. Your Guardians just committed genocide, the very thing they were supposedly designed to prevent. Something interfered with their programming, Tav insisted, frantically reviewing the data streams. These energy signatures, before detonation, they're unlike anything in our records. Lieutenant Dal approached cautiously. Sir, we're detecting a transmission from Earth. It's directed specifically at this station. On screen, Tav ordered. The main view screen flickered, then displayed a figure that caused several ambassadors to recoil. It appeared humanoid but was composed entirely of shifting black crystalline material. Where a face should be, a swirling void pulsed with strange lights. Greetings, Watchers, it said, its voice resonating unnaturally. How fascinating to meet the jailers after all this time. Tav stepped forward. Identify yourself. Why have you violated the quarantine zone? The figure's laugh sent chills through everyone present. Violated? I've merely returned home. Impossible, Tav replied. You're not human. Not anymore, the figure agreed. But I was once, before your predecessors abandoned their research team during the Proxima incident. Murmurs of confusion spread through the command center. The official records state all contact personnel were evacuated, Tav said. Official records lie, Admiral. 5 researchers were left behind, exposed to the conceptual field experiments, transformed, and then abandoned when the results proved too frightening. The crystalline being's form rippled. For 3 centuries we've evolved, learning to control the power your kind so feared. And now we've come to free our brethren. You destroyed Chicago, Ren accused. Murdered millions of your own kind. No, the being corrected. I saved them. Look closer. The tactical display shifted, zooming in on the crater's edge. What had appeared to be destruction from a distance was actually transformation. The entire city and its inhabitants were changing, becoming the same crystalline material as the intruder. The Guardian weapons, Tav realized with horror. You subverted them. Precisely, the being confirmed. Your own defenses, recalibrated to accelerate our evolution rather than suppress it. Quite elegant, don't you think? New alerts sounded throughout the command center. Sir, Dal reported urgently. The transformation is spreading, moving outward from Chicago at exponential rates, and the Guardian installations, they're all activating simultaneously. Shut them down, Tav ordered. We can't, Dal replied. They've been completely subverted. On the view screen, the crystalline being's void face seemed to smile. Your ancestors feared human conceptual evolution as a threat. They never realized it was the next step for all sentient life. We don't rewrite reality by accident. We're becoming reality itself. Tactical displays showed Guardian installations around the solar system firing, their beams striking Earth's surface at hundreds of locations. With each impact, the crystalline transformation accelerated. You've been so busy protecting the galaxy from humanity, the being continued. You never asked who would protect humanity from you. The treaty wasn't just about quarantine, it was about containment, keeping us docile until we could be safely eliminated. That's not true, Tav insisted. The treaty was for mutual protection. Then explain the dead man's switch in your Guardian network. The protocol designed to sterilize Earth if humans ever develop true conceptual control. Several ambassadors turned to Tav in shock. He couldn't meet their eyes. You knew? Ren asked incredulously. It was considered a necessary precaution, Tav admitted. If humans ever fully harnessed their ability, no force in the galaxy could stop them. And now, said the crystalline being, that precaution has become your undoing. The transformation consuming Earth accelerated beyond all prediction. Within hours, entire continents glistened with crystalline structures. The subverted Guardian network continued firing, each beam accelerating the process. In the station's emergency council chamber, panic had given way to grim determination. We must evacuate the Sol system immediately, Ambassador Lore insisted. Alert the homeworlds. Prepare defensive measures. Running won't help, Tav replied, studying the latest data. The transformation isn't just physical, it's altering the fundamental properties of space-time around Earth. Standard FTL drives may not function properly in the affected regions. Then we fight, declared the Krill ambassador. The combined fleets of the Accord would be transformed upon approach, Ren interrupted. Have you learned nothing from the archives? Any biological entity entering that conceptual field would be subverted. Lieutenant Dal entered, his usual composure shaken. Admiral, we've received a broadcast. It's being transmitted across all frequencies, reaching well beyond the Sol system. Source? Tav asked. Earth. But it's not just communication. It's carrying some kind of data pattern that our systems can't fully analyze. Dal activated the view screen. The crystalline being appeared again, but now it stood before a vast landscape of shimmering, geometrically perfect structures that had once been human. Cities. To all sentient life in this galaxy, it began, we extend an invitation. For too long, evolution has been constrained by physical limitations. Today, those limitations end. The image shifted to show humans who had undergone partial transformation. Unlike the chaos of the initial outbreak, these transformations appeared controlled, deliberate. Humans with crystalline limbs manipulated matter with a thought. Others phased through solid objects or communicated without speaking. What you're witnessing isn't destruction, the being continued. It's transcendence, the next evolutionary step that your Accord has feared for centuries. It's trying to lure others into the transformation field, Tav realized, expanding its influence. Your quarantine was based on fear, the being addressed them directly. Fear of what you couldn't control or understand. But we understand now. We've embraced our nature as conceptual evolvers. We don't rewrite reality by accident anymore. We do it by design. The transmission ended, but the data pattern accompanying, it continued pulsing through subspace. Jam that signal, Tav ordered. We can't, Dal replied. It's using quantum entanglement channels we didn't even know existed. Ambassador Wren had been silent, studying the data with intense concentration. Admiral, she said finally, I think we've misunderstood something fundamental about humans. Explain, Tav said. The Proxima mission, the first contact that led to the treaty, it wasn't just observational, was it? She asked. They were conducting experiments on the human conceptual field. Tav's silence was answer enough. The quarantine wasn't just to protect the galaxy from humans, Wren continued, her voice hardening. It was to prevent humans from learning what your scientists did to them. The experiments were unauthorized, Tav admitted reluctantly. A rogue scientific team tried to artificially accelerate human conceptual evolution, hoping to harness it. The results were catastrophic, triggering quantum instabilities that threatened to spread. And rather than help them, Wren concluded, your predecessors quarantined the entire planet, leaving the affected humans to suffer their transformations, alone. New alerts sounded from the command center. Dal checked his portable terminal, his expression grim. Sir, we're detecting ships approaching Earth, civilian vessels from the outer colonies. They're responding to the transmission. Order them to turn back immediately, Tav commanded. They're not responding to warnings, Dal reported. And there are more coming, hundreds of ships from throughout the sector. On the tactical display, vessels of various designs converged on Earth, disappearing into the crystalline field surrounding the planet. Why would they deliberately expose themselves? Lore wondered. Because they're choosing to, said Wren softly. The transmission didn't force anyone. It offered a choice, evolution or stagnation. A false choice, Tav insisted. They don't understand what they're sacrificing. Perhaps they understand better than we do, Wren countered. Perhaps what you've hidden for centuries isn't a horror at all, but a possibility too profound to comprehend. 3 days after the quarantine breach, Earth had become unrecognizable. The crystalline transformation had consumed the entire planet, restructuring it into a geometrically perfect sphere that pulsed with internal light. The moon had undergone similar changes, connected to Earth by a bridge of pure energy. Aboard the station, Admiral Tav stood before the assembled ambassadors. The Emergency Council had been in continuous session, debating options that dwindled by the hour. The transformation has spread to Mars and Venus, he reported. The harvested Guardian network is accelerating the process. At current rates, the entire Sol system will be transformed within days. And the approaching ships? Asked Lore. Over 2,000 vessels have now entered Earth's conceptual field. None have emerged. But we're receiving transmissions from them. Expressions of joy. Tav's voice betrayed his confusion. They claim to have achieved a form of consciousness beyond our understanding. Ambassador Wren had spent the crisis analyzing the historical archives, searching for information that might have been suppressed. She stepped forward. Admiral, I believe we've fundamentally misunderstood what's happening. The human conceptual evolution isn't a weapon or a threat, it's a doorway. A transition to a state of existence we've been too afraid to explore. Speculation, Tav dismissed. No, Wren insisted. Evidence. She activated the main display, showing encrypted files she'd recovered from the deepest archive sections. The original Proxima team wasn't just studying humans, they were collaborating with them. Their journals describe a joint effort to explore consciousness beyond physical limitations. The display showed laboratory notes describing experiments in quantum consciousness, attempts to bridge the gap between thought and reality. When the experiments showed promise, Wren continued, certain factions within the Accord grew frightened. They sabotaged the project, abandoned their human collaborators, and established the quarantine not to protect us, but to suppress knowledge of what humanity might become. Murmurs spread through the council chamber. Tav's expression remained stoic, but his eyes betrayed recognition. Is this true, Admiral? Lore demanded. Before Tav could answer, Lieutenant Dal rushed in. Sir, we're receiving a direct transmission from Earth. They're requesting to address the Council. After a moment's hesitation, Tav nodded. Put it through. The view screen activated, showing not the crystalline being from before, but a human woman. She appeared normal except for subtle luminescence beneath her skin and eyes that shifted with prismatic colors. "Greetings, Council of the Galactic Accord," she said, her voice resonant yet warm. "I am Mira, speaking on behalf of the evolved humanity." "What have you done with the ships that approached Earth?" Tav demanded. "They're here with us," Mira replied. "Their crews chose transformation freely, understanding what it meant. Unlike 300 years ago, when the process was unstable and frightening, we now control the evolution precisely." "You can't possibly expect us to believe this is benevolent," Tav countered. "You've weaponized the human conceptual field." "No, Admiral. We've harmonized it." Mira gestured, and the view widened to show a vast chamber where beings of various species moved about, all bearing signs of crystalline transformation, yet maintaining their original forms. "Your ancestors feared we would rewrite others against their will. What they never considered was that we might learn to share our gift without imposing it." Ambassador Wren stepped closer to the screen. "What exactly is this gift?" "Conscious evolution," Mira explained. "The ability to direct one's own development beyond biological constraints. Thought becoming form. Form transcending limitation." She smiled. "What your people discovered 3 centuries ago wasn't a horror to be contained. It was the next step in sentient evolution." "And the devastation of Chicago?" Tav challenged. "A regrettable necessity," Mira acknowledged. "Your guardians were designed to eradicate us if we ever reach this stage. We couldn't disable them without triggering their fail-safe protocols. Instead, we repurposed them, turning weapons into tools of transformation." The council chamber fell silent as the implications settled over the assembled diplomats. "What do you want from us?" Lore finally asked. "Nothing you don't freely choose to give," Mira replied. "The quarantine served its purpose once, protecting both humanity and the galaxy while we were unaware of our potential. But that time has passed. We request formal recognition and the lifting of all isolation protocols." "And if we refuse?" Tav asked quietly. "Then we respect your decision," Mira said simply. "We have no desire to force this evolution on anyone, but know that the conceptual field will continue to expand naturally. Those who wish to join us will always be welcome." Ambassador Wren turned to face the council. "For 300 years, we've hidden behind a treaty born of fear and deception. Perhaps it's time to embrace understanding instead." One by one, the ambassadors nodded in agreement. Tav watched with mixed emotions as the council voted overwhelmingly to end the quarantine. As the formal declaration was recorded, he approached the view screen where Mira waited patiently. "You know," he said quietly, "my ancestors weren't entirely wrong to be cautious. Power like yours, like what you're offering, could reshape the galaxy in ways we can't predict." "That's precisely the point, Admiral," Mira replied with a gentle smile. "Evolution isn't meant to be predictable. It's meant to be transcendent." As the station prepared to receive the first official delegation from evolved humanity, Tav stood at the observation deck, watching the glittering sphere that Earth had become. The treaty that had forbidden contact with humans, built on fear of a horror that never truly existed, had finally been laid to rest. In its place rose something far more profound, the promise of evolution beyond anything the galaxy had dared to imagine.